Hi, Ben from Tenson's here. I'm going to show you how to maintain your PROCHEM upholstery tool. Alright, so why do we need to maintain our PROCHEM upholstery tool? Well, it's nice and simple. Inside these tools we've got moving parts, and the moving parts up and down have O-rings on them. And those O-rings dry out due to the amount of heat that your PROCHEM truck mount will be making. So what happens? Well, the O-ring dries, it gets stuck on the side of your brass, because these components are brass. And generally wears it or tears a hole in it. So it's much cheaper to maintain it rather than replacing it with a kit all the time. So, you know, these triggers, if you're using them enough, you could probably wear this out in maybe a month or 2 months if you don't maintain it. So probably more like 3 months. But so what do we got to do? Well, nice and simple. Let's grab our tools here. Now this trigger is very similar. It's got the same repair kit as the PROCHEM wand. It's slightly different though. As you can see, in here we've got a different mechanism for holding the trigger, and we've also got this bleed valve here which we're going to lubricate as well. So let's get these components off. I'm doing it on the ground because it's much easier, or on a workbench. So undo your big brass nut. This all comes as one component. So what are we looking for here? Okay, so checking the spring length, making sure it's not being busted or broken or completely crushed. So that looks all intact. Looking at our O-ring. Our O-ring looks nice and round. When they start to go flat on one side, that means it's actually been wearing and chafering inside here, and it needs to be replaced. So make sure that's all intact. Check all your bits and pieces. Check there's no dags or anything inside here. Check inside your valve. It all looks neat and tidy. So we're going to put some rubber grease on it. I'm just using a bit of silicone lubricant. Make sure we use rubber grease and not petroleum-based grease. Petroleum grease will eat the O-ring, and no sooner that you put this back together and started using it, it'll start leaking. Ensuring our O-ring's back on top of our valve. We're just going to reassemble it, put it inside. Obviously the spring's going to be firm, so you've got to push down on it. Making sure you don't cross-thread it. You can see I'm working it backwards and forwards to make sure the valve grabs. That's much easier if you have two hands. They are a fine thread, so just be wary of that. Here we go, now we got it. So do it up nice and firm. Don't go over tight. There's an O-ring in here, much like the O-ring that's inside your garden tap. So nice and firm. You don't need to go and lean on it as if it's going to be holding up your car. Now, undo your bleed valve. This valve here is so that the water goes back through. If you've got it set for 400 psi or something silly like that and you want less pressure, this valve bleeds the water back off into your hose. Pull it out. Once again, it's got an O-ring in here. We're checking to make sure this is okay. A little bit of rubber grease on here. Back inside our valve. And we're all set. Can only go one way. As you can see, there's a chamfer on one side for where the handle goes. Once again, ensuring you don't cross-thread your threads. Brass and stainless steel. Obviously the brass is going to lose over the stainless steel. It's a much softer material. So just ensure it's all set correctly. And now, even though this is a new trigger with some brand new grease in here, it just pulls that much easier. So if you're uncomfortable with doing that, bring it into one of our friendly Tenson's team. Otherwise, you can order these parts online. As you can see, it's quite simple to do. This is probably the more complicated out of all the upholstery tools that we've done, but there's obviously a few more features and benefits with this particular tool. So that was our PROCHEM upholstery tool, and thanks for watching.